Alright, it started.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, goodness gracious me. Hey everybody. How y'all doing today? I decided to come on today, and today I'm going to be making pinto beans and hot water cornbread. Now, the beans that that I'm going to be using today, these are dried beans. You can also get frozen beans or canned beans, but I decided to use the dry beans. And so in this bowl, I just have the dried pinto beans and some water. And these have been soaking in water since yesterday, because it takes a long time for the beans to soften up some before you cook them, and it'll cut your cooking time down some once you soak them first. So these have been soaking for a whole day. They've been in this bowl soaking since yesterday. So they plumped up. They're not small like they were when I first poured them out of the package. They've plumped up. And I changed this water at least about 4 times, because the longer you let it sit, then stuff begins to come off the beans. So I always go in and re-rinse them and wash them off and change the water in them. So I changed the water about 4 times since they've been soaking in this bowl. So also, I have in the pot, I have some smoked turkey necks, and I have some smoked turkey tails. These I've already started boiling them. So they've been boiling for maybe about an hour and a half. So I give my meat a head start before I put my pinto beans in the pot. And the reason I start to cook my meat first is because I want it to soften up, and I want it to begin to release some of the flavors into the water before I start adding my beans to the pot. So these have already been cooking for an hour and a half. Now I'm cooking them in a pot on the stove today, but you can also cook these in a crock pot. But I wanted them to be done a little bit quicker, so I cooked them on the stove top today. So what I'm going to add to this pot of water with my smoked meat in it, I'm gonna chop up a whole onion, and this is about maybe like a medium size yellow onion. You can use yellow onion, you can use white onion, you can use red onion, but I like to use the yellow onion for this. So I'm going to chop up this whole onion and put it in there. So I cut my ends off, and then I'm just going to peel this outer layer of skin off of the onion. And then we're going to dice this up into pieces. Now you could cut them a little bit bigger if you like big chunks of onion in your beans, but I'm gonna dice these up. I'm gonna just take off this outer layer of this peel. Move that over. And then I'm going to chop this up. Rinse this off. And I'm going to chop this onion up. You know, if you get you a few bags of dried beans, they last a good while. And they also keep you full when you eat them. So I'm going to slice it across, and then I'm going to slice it down. Cut it up into pieces. I really did want these beans today, y'all. And I know it's kind of warm outside. for beans, but I wanted beans today. And then you can also use the same recipe to cook other kinds of beans. So if you like Great Northern beans, lima beans, whatever bean you like, you can use this same recipe for those other beans. I chose to use the smoked turkey meat, but you can also use some smoked ham hocks. Some people like to use the ham hocks, and I use them on occasion, but I'm gonna roll with the turkey meat today. Try to not eat so much pork. So I'll alternate it every once in a while. Sometimes I use the smoked turkey meat, and then sometimes I'll use the smoked ham hocks. Use this one. I'm gonna slice this other one up. Y'all, I got my cameraman back, my camera person back today. Jazzy back on the camera, y'all. Say hey to the people, Jazzy.
Hey.
Did you turn the camera around so you can see you? You just said, she just said, hey, that was, that hey was so dry, y'all. Hey. That was real dry. Oh my goodness. So after I dice this onion up, I'm going to put this onion in the pot with the meat. And then we're going to add our beans and a few more other things we're going to put in the pot. Go this way. So now that I sliced that up, I'm going to put these onions right on in this pot. And that's the pot with my meat in here. Jazzy, you want to bring it so they can see the meat in the pot? So that's my smoked meat, y'all. You see how that water didn't change colors? Because it's been in there cooking for a minute. So that water going to be good and flavored. By the time all the beans and the meat get done. Because I like to cook my meat till it's real tender and it begins to fall off the bone. Then you can take it out and dice it up and put it back in the pot. So I'm going to put some onions in here. Got my onions. And I'm going to add some garlic. So this is just a jar of garlic and olive oil. But if you want to use just the regular plain bulb of garlic, then you can chop that up and put that in there too. So I'm going to use do about a half a spoonful of diced garlic. I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to put some Lawry's seasoning salt. I'm going to put a little in here. Not a whole lot. Put a little of that. Then I'm going to put some cracked black pepper. Put some pepper in here. If you like it a little bit spicier, you can add a little bit more pepper, or you can add some crushed red pepper in here if you like it spicy. So I put some black pepper. I'm going to put some, this is called Better Than Bouillon. Now sometimes I'll use the Weiler's bouillon cubes, but I like to use this because you can kind of adjust how much of this you want to put in there. So this is Better Than Bouillon. So I'm gonna put a spoonful of this in here. Not a whole lot, because this got a lot of salt in it, y'all. So you want to be kind of careful about how much you put in. So I'm gonna put that in there. And if you feel like you want to use a little bit more, you can. I'm going to also use some apple cider vinegar. Now this I got from my daddy. When he used to always cook beans, he would put apple cider vinegar in it, and he said that takes out some of the air that you get from when you eat beans. So I'm going to put a capful of apple cider vinegar in here. And then I'm going to add my beans. So these beans have been soaking. I'm going to pour the water off, and then I'm going to pour my beans right on in that pot. And then I'm going to add these beans right on in here, y'all. And once I put the beans in there, then I'm going to let this cook again. It's going to cook for about another 2 hours. Because it's going to take a while. Even though the beans have plumped up, when they get to cooking in this pot, they're going to plump up some more. And they're going to start absorbing some of this liquid that's in here. See, my meat already starting to get tender, y'all. See, I can just break that up right there with that spoon. That meat already starting to get tender. So I'm gonna let these cook on down with the rest of the meat, and they gonna plump up some more and soak up some of this juice that's in here. So we're gonna let that cook for a couple more hours. So while the beans is boiling, I'm going to make some hot water cornbread. And the difference between the hot water cornbread and the regular cornbread that you cook in the oven, you just fry it on top of the stove. It's a quicker way to make cornbread, and it still tastes good. So in this bowl, I got 1 2/3 cup of self-rising cornmeal. And then I added a 1/2 cup of flour. So I'm going to mix this up together in here. And since you use the self-rising, you don't have to put in no baking soda, because it's already in there with the flour and the cornmeal. Now this I'm using in here, this is white cornmeal, but you can also use the yellow cornmeal as well. So in here, I'm going to put a little salt. And I'm going to eyeball that. That's about a half a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm going to put some butter. This is a half a stick of melted butter. I'm going to pour that on in there. And I'm going to turn my eye on so this skillet can start getting hot. Let it come on. So the one light, y'all. There you go. There we go, y'all. So I'm going to turn the skillet on so it can start warming up. And then I'm going to put just some vegetable oil in the skillet so it can start heating up. So I put enough in here just to cover the bottom of the skillet. So now in here with this butter and the cornmeal and the flour, I'm going to add two spoons of sugar in here. So I got the cornmeal, I got the flour, I got butter, a little bit of salt, and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Mix this up. Now comes the hot water part of it. So I'm going to start to add some hot water to this. And I asked my mama about her recipe, and she said she put a little milk in it. So I'm going to put a little milk in here too. So I'm going to put a little milk. Put a little milk in here, and that's about maybe like a third cup. And then it's already starting to get softened up. So now I got some water back here that's been boiling already. So I'm going to take this hot water and I'm going to start adding it into my mixture. So I'm going to start out with a cup. See how this mix up. So once you put that hot water in there, it's going to start activating with the cornmeal and the flour. And we're going to mix it up. Add some more. That's all in there because it's hot. So I'm going to add a little bit more. A little bit. That's looking good, y'all. See, it done softened that cornmeal up and that flour in there. A little bit more water. So this is good consistency right here. See how that look, y'all? Some people make it a little bit thicker, but I kind of like it kind of almost like a pancake batter. So once you get it mixed up good, then when the grease get hot, we're going to start frying them in the skillet. So let me see, is this hot? I'm gonna do a little tester drop. Just see. Yeah, that's hot. So if it start bubbling up, then you know it's hot. So I'm just gonna put some down in here. Maybe a couple tablespoons. You can make them as big as you want to. I'm gonna cook a few at a time. Just like making pancakes, y'all. And then they're going to fry up. Turn this down a little bit because you don't want it to cook too fast. Because then they won't be done in the middle. And once they start browning, they get brown, you can flip them over. See? this looks like it's browning already. So once they get brown, we're going to flip them over. See how good and brown that is? It cooked on that one side. And we're going to flip them over. And let them cook and brown up on the other side. They're looking good, y'all. Nice and golden brown. They got a little crispy edge. Now I do like, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit because you don't want your fire up too high for your beans. I do like cornbread with my beans, but you can also make some white rice. It's good with white rice too, y'all, to have it to put on top of your beans. And this don't take long at all. So this is quicker if you want some cornbread real quick and you don't want to turn your oven on and wait for it to bake in the oven. So see how they begin? They start puffing up. And you didn't even have to put no baking soda or nothing in there, because it was already the self-rising meal. They start to puff up in the skillet. And that's all you need for your pinto beans and your hot water cornbread, y'all. So I hope y'all like this recipes, and y'all give them a try. If y'all try some of these at home, then send me a message and let me know how that came out for you. These ain't ready yet. We still gonna let them brown a little bit more on the bottom. This one almost done. So make sure it's brown real good. Y'all, yeah, let me know if you try these recipes and you enjoyed them. This is my sister's. This is my sister's favorite thing. She loved the hot water cornbread. I think she liked this more than she do the regular cornbread. So see, this one is brown, y'all. I'm gonna flip it over so y'all can see. See, that one's brown and ready already on the other side. So we're gonna take this one out, and then I'm gonna put it on top of some paper towel, and that's just to drain the extra grease out. See how that one got good and brown too? They're ready, y'all. And that's all it takes to make your pinto beans and your hot water cornbread. When it's done, y'all, I'm gonna set this to the side because I'm gonna finish cooking some more. When it's done, then I'm gonna post what it looks like when it's done. But y'all know every time that I come on, I also have to give you a little bit of word. I want to give you food to eat, not just for your body, but also for your soul. So I was asking God, I said, well, Lord, what am I going to share with people today? And what came to my mind was how important prayer is. Prayer so many times was a lifeline for me, and I literally mean a lifeline for me. I remember I was working, I worked at Empress Casino. It's Horseshoe now. It was formerly Empress. And I worked there from 1997 until about 2003. And I've had asthma all my life. But that particular day, I think I might have been on there for maybe a year and a half that I worked there. And that particular day, I had an asthma attack that was really bad. I mean, really bad. And it came upon me so fast. And they called the ambulance and, you know, came and rolled me out from work and took me to the nearest hospital. And as I was laying in the hospital bed, I could just feel like my life slipping away. And my mother was there and my father was there. You know, I was kind of going in and out at that moment. But in that moment, I knew to pray to God. Even though my mother was there and even though my father was there, I knew at that moment they weren't in a position to help me with what I needed in that moment. The only help that I could get was from God. And so I began to pray and pray and pray. And I just remember telling him, Lord, I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not ready to go yet. I still have things that I need to accomplish, that I need to do. At that time, my sisters were young. I said, I can't leave them right now. Just a million things went rushing through my mind in that moment. And I finally felt, you know, I came to that place of where I thought that was it, y'all. I really, truly thought that that was it. And if that was that time for me to go, I wasn't ready to go. I had not committed myself to God. I knew to pray to him, but I wasn't committed to him. And so in that moment, as I began to pray, I just remember the air coming back into my lungs after I had been struggling for so long, gasping for air. As I began to pray, the air began to come back into my lungs. And I believe God, you know, gave me another opportunity to, you know, live for him and just let people be aware and know that God is real. He is real. He is the true living God. He is real. And how important prayer is to keep our connection with our God. You know, we might be in some situations in life where mama can't save you, daddy can't save you, so you need to be in a position of where you know how to pray to the God that can. So I just wanted to share that with y'all today about how important prayer is. When you don't know to call nobody else, you call on God and he's always there. So until next time, I hope y'all enjoyed the cooking, creating, and conversation. And I'll see y'all later. Bye. Love y'all.